Hello and welcome to Salute. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and with me today is a gentleman from a Holocaust survivor, Mr. Gene Klein, who is the subject of a book, We Got the Water, that was put together by your daughter, Dr. Jill Klein, who's in Australia. But I'm going to turn this over to you for the most part because you have such a terrific story, and you have told it many places, and you're going to be telling it again at a lot of the universities. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the first trains to Auschwitz.
Well, thank you so much, Bob, for the invitation, first of all. And you know, I was born into a Jewish family, Eastern European, middle-class Jewish family. My father, Herman, had a little store downtown, housewares, hardware. My mother was a typical Jewish mother, taking care of the kids and the home. Two older sisters, Lily and Olga, and I was the only son. Life was good in Czechoslovakia. I went to school, a lot of languages you had to learn, because if you look at the map of Europe, you see all the different colors in the different countries with the different languages. So I took you had to take Latin first of all, and I took Italian and German in my third year, and a couple of years later I was fluent in both of it. And the reason I'm talking about it, because it was such an important thing in my life that was coming. 1939, there were two historically important events that happened in Europe. The first, of course, the big one, was the Nazis invading Poland, and the slaughter of the Jews have started, but we didn't know this. And the other one was that the eastern part of Czechoslovakia, that used to be Austria-Hungary in the olden days, was given to Hungary. So we went to sleep as Czechs and we woke up as Hungarians. No problem, because our native language was Hungarian. Went to Hungarian schools and so on and so forth. And as the early 40s rolled around, you know, things were getting worse and worse because the Nazis were overrunning Europe and just, you know, occupying one country after another. And about 1943, we had a Hungarian Nazi official come to our school and was on the stage talking to an assembly of all the students and teachers. And this man just started screaming and yelling how terrible the Jews are. It's the Jews' fault that the war is going on, that we don't have enough to eat. It's the Jews' fault. And I was sitting with some of my soccer buddies next to me. Some of them were Jewish, and I was saying, I didn't realize that I was guilty of this thing. Yeah. What have I done to deserve this, you know? And then 1944, in just a couple of months, just horrendous things were happening. Number one thing was the school announced that Jewish students don't need to come back next Monday, so my education was interrupted. And the next thing was, my father was told, inventory your store, the merchandise, lock it up. Here goes our income for the family. Mm-hmm. And then the terrible thing is that you have to start wearing the yellow star whenever you go outside your home, which denotes that you're a Jew. So immediately you're open to verbal and physical abuse, which was very scary. And then the final order from the Hungarians were that all the Jewish families have to stand in front of their house. Hungarian soldiers and officers were coming down the street. I imagine they cut our city into grids. They had a list of all the Jewish families. We are standing in front of our beautiful house with my father was a master gardener, beautiful, beautiful garden. We are standing there, and the officer comes down and looks at the list. Sure enough, there is father, mother, and 3 kids. I was 16 at the time. My 2 sisters were in their early 20s. And they are marching us out of the town to this huge brick factory. This is where they're collecting all the Jews from my, thousands of us, from my hometown of Beregszás, was in Hungarian. And it's surrounded by barbed wire with guards all around it. And they're putting us into these buildings that used to be used for drying the bricks before they send it into the factory to the kilns to make building material out of it. And they have a little bit of straw on the ground, and in order to have a little bit of privacy between families, we string up some ropes and put some blankets on it. Middle of the night, Hungarian soldiers, flashlights, guns pointed at your head. Give me all your valuables, give me all you want money. I have a watch very similar to this that I got for my bar mitzvah in Jewish religion. You become a man at the age of 13. This total stranger just took it off my arm. I couldn't understand how can something like this happen. This is from my favorite uncle. This total stranger just took it away from me.
Yeah.
Very scary. A few days later, middle of the night, it's a train whistle. We are woken up by Hungarian soldiers. They are taking us out of the buildings. We are passing by a large building where the actual factory was. The Hungarian soldiers are telling you, put all your belongings down, you're not going to need it where you're going. My father is telling us, if you have any food, he had this feeling something horrible was happening. If you have any food in your suitcase or in your bundle, put it in your pocket. We turn the corner, and for the first time we see SS officers and enlisted men. You know, skull and crossbone, and you know, their reputation as the killers. They always followed the front of the Nazi army into different territories to do the killing of not just Jews, but millions of undesirables. And they just give us the order to go single file. When we get to front of the officer, he points to my father, 77, mother 78, sister Lily 79, sister Olga 80. I'm number one in the next car. 80 human beings, anything from babies to grandparents, in one cattle car. This is a rust-colored car with big sliding doors, little straw on the ground. It was actually used to move cattle from point A to point B. Now I'm separated from my family. The first thing I see when I go up on the car is 2 steel drums. One is full of water. One, as it turns out, would be for human waste. And once thousands of people are put on the train, it starts going. It's just absolutely horrific. I made a DVD at the Lady Lake Library I spoke last year, and I called it My Year in Hell. And the water is gone within a day. The stench is horrific. Babies are crying, people are praying, they're crying. Our journey takes 3 days and 3 nights.
3 days and 3 nights.
Right.
My goodness.
Finally we arrive. Doors open. SS soldiers with attack dogs are screaming and yelling, everybody out. There are young men in prison uniform, blue and white striped prison uniform, approaching us. Their job is to empty the trains, to go back to Hungary, and to fetch another 430,000 Jews to be killed, but we don't know this.
Right.
We have absolutely no idea where we are and what's going to happen to us.
I can't imagine what was going through your mind.
It's just total shock. So I meet up with my family, but before that, these young men who are approaching the car, they are approaching young mothers who are holding babies in their arms. And they are whispering to them in Yiddish, which is the language of the Jews, very similar to German. Give the baby to your mother or to your grandmother. And here is a dilemma for a young mother. This man is a Jew, so I have to trust him because there must be a really good reason why he is doing this. So they hand the baby over to their grandmother or mother. But others will say, I'm never going to give up my child, and hold on to them.
Right.
In a couple of minutes, I tell you why this was so important. I meet up with my family, hardly have time to hug and kiss. Order comes, women and children to this side, men and maybe boys from mid-teens on this side. I'm standing next to my father. Order comes for us to start going to the front, always rows of 5. My father, who is a young man in the early 50s, but he couldn't shave during the 3 days and 3 nights. So his beard came in sort of white, gray. made him look older than his age. When we get up to the front, there's a line of SS officers and doctors, and this officer is just pointing to my father, you this way, point to me, you this way. What is he doing? He's playing God. We don't know this. But those who go to the left will be taken to immediately to the gas chambers to be killed, and those who go to the right will be for slave labor camps and be killed through that. So it's really just awful. As I said, I'm 16 years old, I'm alone, and I marched out with boys from maybe 15 up to maybe men up to about 40. All the older men are gone, all the younger boys are gone. And it's just terrible because you don't know what's going to happen to you, and then order comes, take off all your clothes and your shoes. And little did I realize that that little bundle of clothing and my shoes will be my last connection to being a human being. Because in quick succession, everything in double time. You run to the first place, you sit down on the benches, prisoners cut off all your hair. Go to the next stop, they spray you with some chemicals. Go to the next stop, a huge barracks. Cold water comes out, no towel, no soap. Everybody's standing with their mouth open because you haven't had water the last 2 days, drinking on the water. Then the order comes for you to get out of there. You go to an even bigger barracks, and the first thing you see when you go in, big pile of that blue and white striped jacket. You just saw it on the prisoners who were whispering to the young mothers. Incidentally, back to the young mothers, if a mother showed up without a child, a young mother, chances are she would be chosen for slave labor. But if a young mother showed up with a child in her arm, both of them were destined to go to the gas chamber to be killed.
Oh my
So
God.
that was the reason these young men were whispering to them. So you have to pick a jacket, pair of pants. There's a little pile of rope and wire to hold up your pants. There's a little pile of caps, wooden shoes. Then there are bins. The first bin has soup dishes in it. Next one has cups, and the next one has spoons. This is your worldly belongings. In the back of the barracks, A to Z, you go there wherever your last name is. The SS soldiers with lists of names of the newly arrival Hungarian Jews. You have to understand the Hungarian Jews were the last ones to be shipped out to be killed. And of course we find out that this is Auschwitz. Auschwitz is the biggest killing machine on the face of the earth. Eventually 1.1 million human beings, anything from babies to grandparents again, would be killed here. Not just Jews, but anybody that the Nazis sent here to be killed, including Russian soldiers that they captured, who were guinea pigs in the gas chambers when they were trying to figure out what gas they should use for the extermination of the people. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Finally, we are marched out from this place to one of the camps. The first thing you see is large signs in German, Achtung or Vorsicht. Basically it says, attention, electrify fence, if you touch it you die. What place is this?
Yeah,
We still don't know where we are. We have no idea. I have no idea where my father went to the left and I went to the right. So, we go into the barracks. There are 3 shelves, wooden shelves with a little straw on it. This is our new home. And finally some food comes that smells terrible and tastes terrible, but you eat it because you're famished. And a little piece of bread that looks like bread, but it isn't bread. And you just gobble it down. And then the next morning, the capos, who are the go-betweens of the SS guards and the prisoners, who are usually German criminals, and they are here because all the jails were emptied by Hitler to be sent to the concentration camps. They're useless people. They are very, very rough, very terrible to the prisoners because they want to keep their jobs. They get extra food, you know. And they then tell us we have to go outside to be counted, which is a daily event in Auschwitz. The first thing you notice is that there are prisoners hanging on the electrified wire. I have never seen a dead person. These people arrived with me the day before. They gave up. They had absolutely realized that this was really hell, and they just wanted to end it. And then I go to a Polish prisoner who had been in Auschwitz longer than I was, and I ask him, please tell me what is this place and how come my father went to the left and I went to the right? He says, come with me. He takes me outside the barracks, points in the distance at a tall brick chimney, spewing smoke and flames and stuff. He says, your father is going up the chimney. What is he talking about? I was with my father yesterday. Why is he going up the chimney? And then he explains to me what Auschwitz is all about. And I realize my father is dead. I have absolutely no idea where mother and two sisters are because I don't know what happened to them. And this is it. I am in Auschwitz about 3 weeks when I'm pulled out on one of the selections and sent to a slave labor camp. Fortunately, this only took about 12 hours instead of 3 days like the original trip. And I am with hundreds of prisoners on this train that stopped in this place. They opened the doors. It's a beautiful hilly area. This is Leesburg. This is a slave labor camp, as I found out after the returning home and coming to the United States and going to the museum in Washington, D.C. This was one of the camps in a cluster of 10 different camps. One master plan of building roads and railroads, but every camp was doing a different part of the job. You line up, start going in single file towards one of the large buildings. There were only 4 large buildings here. All the rest was circular tent-like, hundreds of them for the prisoners. There was one large barrack for SS administration, one for the kitchen, one was sort of a hospital kind of, for injured and sick prisoners, and one was a latrine/washroom. So it's just absolutely terrible. It really is slave labor. My first job was march out of the camp, going to the railroad station where we arrived. There was a huge pile of railroad rails, the steel rails that trains run on. And they assigned 3 prisoners to each one in the front, one in the back, one in the middle. You pick it up and you walk up about a football field length. You put it down there. Other prisoners pick it up and carry it further. And then you go back and pick it up. And this is from sun up to sundown. Extremely heavy. Your shoulders start, hurting. Then you switch it over to the other side. Then you start bleeding. This is just, they're going to kill you. And this goes on 6 days a week, and from sun up to sundown. And then you start thinking. Your brain is starting to get these ideas. How am I going to make it? How am I going to get home? I gotta have something to make me stay alive. First of all, I figured out if I am standing, when we are standing in attention in the morning and the work parties are counted off, if I'm on this side, they are sending you to the same place where they send me. I don't want to be in the same bunch of prisoners who are carrying the rails. I'm going to take my chance and go to the other end and see if I can get slave labor, but maybe not as horrendous as carrying the rails. So, okay, I'm digging ditches or cutting down trees or whatever. Okay, so, and then a couple of weeks later, you come out of your tent, and the first thing you see is a dead prisoner next to the tent next to you. And the first thing that comes in your mind, this is somebody's father, somebody's son, somebody's husband, somebody's brother. They will never make it home. How terrible it is. And then this survival instinct that every human being has kicks in, which is really great, but it really doesn't do enough. You have to have some sort of goal in your mind to keep you going. And I came up with two things. One was, I have no idea, I know my father is dead. I have no idea where my mother and two sisters are. Are they alive? Are they dead? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think they are alive. And the number two thing is, if the Nazis kill me, they win. If I stay alive, I win. I told myself every night when I went to sleep, total exhaustion, and every morning when I woke up to march out to the next work party. Now it's the fall of 1944. We are starting to worry about the coming winter because we are in pajamas. An SS sergeant stops right in front of me. The younger prisoners were always in the front rows. And he says, of course in German, which one of you young prisoners speak German? You know, here is the first computer in the world, my mind, and I'm thinking, okay, if they want to kill 200 prisoners today, they can kill 200. Why should they pick on one? I'm putting my hand up. I'm taking a chance. Put my hand up. He says, come with me. He marches me out to the gate of the camp. There's a civilian man, and I stand there in attention, take my hat off. The man dismisses the sergeant, and he says to me, I am Mr. So-and-so. He introduces himself. And again, my brain can't comprehend. Why does he have to introduce himself?
Yeah.
You know, and anyhow, he tells me I'm a civilian engineer, attached to this camp for 2 weeks. I need somebody to carry my equipment. You're going to have this wooden board with the numbers. And he has his tripod with his equipment, with a notebook. He get away from the camp. He tells me, stand over here. Okay. He goes way down, makes some notes, and beckons me. I'm on vacation. I don't have to go out with the slave laborers. This guy is I have to take this little wooden board instead of the
He was
whatever.
a surveyor.
He's a surveyor.
Yeah.
And really great. Next morning, the first thing he says to me, I see what terrible situation you people are in. And again, I can't understand. He is one of these people that put me in this situation.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Is he trying to rub it in or what? But the next thing out of his mouth is, I'm going to bring you back to your work party, to hook up with them, to march back to the camp when we are finished with the work day. Then I point to the left. There's going to be a barracks in the woods. This is where the SS guards and the civilian German engineers have their lunch. This is going to be way past lunchtime. Go in there, go to the far corner, look under the bench. Piece of real meat, a piece of real bread.
Wow.
Piece of cheese, a little cup of milk. I drink the milk because I don't no way for me to take it. I put the rest in my pocket so I can share. I always try to make friends, young prisoners, because we had a more optimistic outlook about the future, so I can share it, and I thank him so much. And I credit this man, who was a German, a Christian, with saving my life. It's unbelievable.
That's powerful. You know, I did have one. I did tell you a little before about a man who I interviewed who went to one of these
Right.
Prisoners of war concentration camp things, and they liberated him. And he said the same thing pretty much you did.
Yeah.
They gave him a chocolate bar. You think he would have wolfed it down? No, he says, I made sure everybody had a piece.
Is that something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I give you a lot of credit. So.
After 2 weeks, I'm back to slave labor. I get injured. A rusty piece of barbed wire hits when I'm digging a ditch, hits me on the thigh. I go to the infirmary. They are manned by 2 Greek doctors who are doctors in civilian life, but they are also prisoners. Mm-hmm. They look at my leg. It's like a half a tennis ball. We have to drain it and cut it. They have very primitive medical instruments like razor blade kind things and stuff. They cut it, drain it, they put some white powder on it, and they wrap it up in paper bandages. And I say, thank you so much, I'm leaving, because the reputation of anybody who goes into this hospital, 90% of them will never come out. They say, wait, we have to watch next few days to make sure that the infection doesn't spread down your leg, because if it does, you are finished. Mm-hmm. So I am there for a few days. A prisoner comes in and announces, all work has stopped here in Leesburg. This camp is going to be evacuated. Those who are able to walk will walk to the next destination. Those who are too weak, too sick, will be put on trucks. I have heard from other prisoners who have been in these camps a lot longer than I was. Never, never, never get on any Nazi transportation. Because if you can't walk, you can't work, so what use are you? So we start marching, we get a fork in the road. Marchers go one way, trucks go the other way. I have no doubt in my mind that the trucks went to the nearest extermination camp to kill all these useless people. And we arrived to this huge camp, and there's no work, it's just dying, you know, it's just, the death rate is just horrendous. And I'm there, I've just turned 17 by this time, it's the spring of 1945. And just two Polish kids and I become friends. We called ourselves the Three Musketeers. And in order to get away from the death and the dying in the barracks, we just get a couple hours of sleep, then we go outside the barracks. And one morning we come out, and the first thing we notice, this is like April of 1945, that the guards are gone from the machine gun towers. And we figure this is either good news or bad news. The good news is, because quite a few of the guards had their families with them in little bungalows outside the camp, that they took off because we heard a lot of bombardments coming closer and closer. We didn't know where we were, so we didn't know what was happening. Or they're going to come into the camp and then kill everybody because they didn't want to have any witnesses to this horror that created. So we're sneaking through the barracks to take a look at the front gate. No guards, good news. We are walking to the gate and we are looking around, what's going to happen to us. A real foggy morning. And we are just staring. And all of a sudden the fog breaks, and two horses and one horseman coming real far away. We have absolutely no idea who this person is. And as soon as it comes close enough, one of the Polish kids says to me, look at his hat, a red star. It's a Russian soldier.
Russian, yeah.
It was like unbelievable feeling, you know.
Like being born again.
Exactly, I made it, you know. And he comes there, takes off his gun, shoots off the padlock. He's standing guard. He speaks Slavic languages. The Polish kid speaks Slavic languages. I get a quick translation. And he says, I'm advanced guard. The doctor's coming, medicine coming, food coming. We know exactly where all the camps are. Sure enough, they come. Doctor examines me. He says, you have typhoid fever. I'm full of lice. Writes a prescription. I go to get my medicine. They tell me, go to the buses. They're going to take you to the nearest hospital. I start walking toward the buses. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to the station. I keep hearing where the train whistles are. Trainload after trainload of Russian soldiers, armaments, everything is coming this way. I know I gotta go that way. Yeah. That's home. So I'm waiting and waiting. Finally, a cattle car train comes. The same kind of train that took my family to Auschwitz. Doors are open. There are prisoner of war soldiers heading home. Concentration camp victims are heading home. They told us every station, no matter which way you're going home, will have doctors, medicine, and food. So I say goodbye to my Polish friends. I take off, get off if I'm hungry. If my medicine is low, I get off, get my medication. I'm about halfway home. A young woman taps me on my shoulder. I turn around. She still has her striped prison
wardrobe, yeah.
Wardrobe. She recognized me, even though I was a skinny kid, and I'm half the skinny kid. she said, I got good news for you. I was with your mother and 2 sisters working in this Nazi ammunition factory, and we have been liberated by the American army. Best news ever. They were liberated by Americans. I was further east, so I was liberated by the Russians. So this is basically my concentration camp story. But first I got home. My sad job was to tell my mother and 2 sisters that our father was killed in Auschwitz. And then we decided to immigrate. So my older sister, Lily, and her longtime boyfriend got married. That's the same day when they got married. This was just a couple of weeks after we got home. The Russians announced that this little part of Czechoslovakia/Hungary is now going to be Russia. And we know enough about the Russians. Once they close the border, forget about it.
Yeah.
So the three of us decided to go to Palestine. My other sister was going to marry her boyfriend, who was a Christian and who actually saved all our photo albums. They were going to wait to get married. My mother included was going to stay with them. Anyhow, we take off. We go to the border of Austria with forged Red Cross passports that we are Austrians, because there were a lot of activities. Young Jewish volunteers were coming to see if survivors of the Holocaust would like to go to the Promised Land, Palestine, the future Israel. And we get as far as the Austrian-Italian border. Everything is locked, and you can't go to the ships. We get in touch with my relatives in Scranton, Pennsylvania. 3 of my mother's brothers immigrated to the U.S. in the late 20s. They sent us the necessary papers to Linz, Austria, where it was a displaced person camp, people who were waiting to immigrate anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. They said, how come you want to go to Palestine? They're shooting at each other. Didn't you have enough shooting during World War II and the camps and everything? So they sent us the affidavits. We waited 2 years there for our turn to immigrate. We went to Bremenhaven, got on a troop ship, 10-day journey to New York City. I was seasick about 9.5 days of that thing. You know, it was not pleasant. Anyhow, we arrived.
In a cattle car, right?
Right, much better. We arrived to New York Harbor. 3 brothers of my mother are so happy that we survived. They say, great, you're one of the best countries in the world. Let's go to pick up our suitcases and let's go to the parking lot. They go to the parking lot and they have a big black Oldsmobile. And the first thing this is really stupid, but the first thing came in my mind that they are gangsters. Why? Because my father, who was a linguist, used to get magazines from these 3 brothers in the US to keep up his English, and when they had any kind of stories about gangsters with machine guns standing in front of their, gangster cars, it was always a big, long black car. Of course, nothing to it, it's just my mind was wondering. Anyhow, they're tremendously wonderful people. One of them calls me into his office and says to me, I know that you're a talented artist. I used to send them pictures from school, and there's nothing here in Scranton, but it is very important in this country to have a profession. The most important thing is to be able to support yourself, or if once you get married, to support yourself and your family. So go to New York, I think you would be a great sign painter. Get yourself a job, and I'm quoting him, I'm going to pay for all your expenses as far as the school materials are concerned. Get yourself this occupation. Mm-hmm. I go to New York, get myself a job, go to night school, learn this stuff. 2 years later, I'm a really good sign painter, calligrapher. Excuse me, I get a postcard from the Scranton Selective Service Board.
Welcome.
Right. Come back for your physical. This is during the Korean War. Mm-hmm. I go back to Scranton. The Army doctor puts me on the scale, and he's looking real close. He said, You weigh 107 pounds? Our minimum is 110. Get out of here. I go back to work. 2 months later, I get another call. Congratulations. We have lowered our weight limit to 105.
Aren't you lucky?
You're in the Army now. So, go figure. So I go to Camp Breckenridge from Kentucky for my basic training, 16 weeks. And I'm finished with my basic training. And at that time, what they used to do to companies is cut them in half. A to L goes to Germany, occupation. M to Z goes to Korea. But you never knew which side would go where. Just 2 days before we got our orders, an Army officer comes and says, anybody speaks a foreign language. This time I put my hand real quickly up. I didn't have to think about it like in the camp.
Yeah, right.
And he says, come with me, take language test. They send me to Fort Meade, Maryland in a 338 Military Intelligence Battalion. This is nothing like 007. It's not as glorious or wonderful or exciting. It's translating captured documents from other countries of the language that you knew into English, you know. But we had some interesting classes to take, like aerial photo interpretation and stuff like that, which was really interesting. So that was my Army life. And I got, not only that I got honorably discharged, but while I was in the service in Fort Meade, our company commander, who was Japanese, Captain Fukuchi, came and said, anybody who is not a citizen of the U.S., put my hand up. Tomorrow morning, dress uniform, they're going to take you to Baltimore to federal court and you'll be becoming citizens.
That's
great feeling.
That's great. Oh, I'll bet. That's
great.
A tremendous story. I mean, going from a prisoner of war camp like that and into becoming in the Army and doing like intelligence for them and everything. I mean,
well,
so anyway, you're now here in Florida.
I have retired. My wife, Barbara, who is from Louisville, Kentucky, is very much into genealogy. She was in medical field. She was taking cancer information out of different hospitals for the state of Florida to try to see what kind of cancers there are in different parts of Florida. And I was in the sign business. We decided enough is enough in Miami. We want to start looking for some place to retire. So we started looking in North Carolina and decided, you know, let's stay in Florida. And one of our trips, we went to the top of the world and we went through the villages. She said, you know, we saw the video from the villages, let's check it out. Fell in love with it. This was 2006. We moved up here. It's a wonderful place. It's a real cross-section of the United States and a lot of Europeans. You know, there's so many things to do. Every Thursday you have it in your newspaper, the recreation news. Any club that you want to belong to, anything that you want to do is available crafts-wise.
Yeah.
And I was asked, I was speaking in one of the churches, and somebody was in the audience who was a history professor at Umatilla High School. And he said to me after the service, would you come and speak to us in Umatilla? I said, sure. Never turned down an invitation to talk about it. 25 years ago, I started speaking about my Holocaust experiences, and I decided I'm really doing a service. People have to know what happened and never forget. You know, the slogan, never forget.
And that's, you mentioned it before, we were talking with Eisenhower.
Right.
Eisenhower insisted on we take a lot of pictures, he says, because nobody will ever believe what happened here.
Exactly.
And that's why I think what you do is fantastic.
Yeah.
Going around, and tell me, you go to some of the colleges, right? You're pretty much on a circuit now, aren't you? You're a bit of a celebrity, my friend.
I've been on the circuit since we moved here. And not only do I speak in middle schools and high schools, I went to University of Central Florida. I speak to my daughter, Jill, who wrote the book, We Got the Water.
We Got the Water, yes.
Came up with a program 2 years ago. Because of the economic situation all over the world was so, hate to use the word crappy, but terrible. She came up with resilience, how to survive business during terrible times. She came to this country, to Berkeley University, because she was invited to show this program to them. But before that, she got in touch with me and said, Dad, I came up with a program on resilience. It would be great to do it together. She's going to be talking about she's very much into neurosciences. What's going on in the brain of people to survive bad times in business. You can talk about your experiences with real life or death situation. It would be great.
You survived, yeah.
So this is a 2.5-hour presentation. She goes and starts talking about what's going on in your brain, resilience-wise. Then I talk about my family at home. Then she goes again to the next step. Everything with visual things behind us on the big screen. And then they show my family from home. Then she goes on with her story. I go on to the camps and so on and so forth. Then we are finished, and there is a half-hour of question and answer period. These are all executives of corporations. After it was recommended by the Berkeley Business School, we started off with 8 professors listening to our story. We were in our story about 20 minutes. They said, would you stop for a minute? They started making phone calls. Before you knew it, there were 30 professors standing there watching what we were doing because they were so impressed of how important this was. Resilience was the most important word in the business world when things were really bad, you know.
It is in life, too.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's it. Life lessons come, you know, for my part of the story also, not just hers. So this was really very an important part of us working together. And we did this I made the mistake of flying out to Australia, to Melbourne, which is from here to LA, it's 6 hours, then it's 15.5 hours from there to Melbourne. So for a man my age, first time I went, I was 84. It wasn't pleasant, but that's life, right? And then we have been doing it in the U.S. through a consulting firm to U.S. cities. You know, we can have 4 or 5 cities executives from different cities at the same time. This electronic wonder that is happening with video conferences. We can sit at a table and people are on the screen and you can talk to each other. It's just totally amazing. But what I'm doing now mostly is I'm speaking in churches, synagogues, schools, libraries, even private homes. And I am teaching a course in the villages. It's titled Surviving Nazi Concentration Camps. I have done it 4 times now. I'm going to do the 5th course starting February 25th. And the maximum people that can be in the classroom, because it's done in the village's high school in the late afternoon at night, is 23 people. And I feel really great that most of the things I have done before was between 20 and 23 people. People are really interested, and these are adults, because the reason they're coming is because they want to find out from somebody who actually went through it.
Oh yeah, you are Jewel, my friend. There aren't very many people that have had the experience that you've had, and you know, you open up a lot of people's eyes. And I was telling you, when I went and got a haircut, this young lady was telling me how she went to one of your things, and she was really impressed, and she says, "Oh, ask him about the pajamas." You know, you really wish you could have kept the pajamas, you said.
Right. Well, you know, I did mention it to after I was liberated, and remember I told you I didn't want to go on the buses to the hospital, and I wanted to go to the railroad station. I had to walk through the little bungalows where the guards' families were staying after they were long gone. But they must have gone in such big hurry that I went into one of the places, and I opened the cupboard, and there's food. Open the closet, the clothing. I go into the bathroom, turn on the water, hot water.
Wow.
I take off my raggedy, full of lice uniform. I do a little victory dance on it. Hop into a hot shower, the first hot shower I had in 1 year. it was a wonderful feeling. But I do wish that I would have had the jacket with my prison number on it, because that was such a transition from a human being. Then I was interviewed by the SS soldier in Auschwitz, and he found my name on the list and checked it off. Next to my name was a little blank space. And he looked at my chest, which I didn't notice before, and I looked down and there was a yellow triangle, which denotes that I'm a Jew, and then numbers. So from that moment on, even my name was taken away.
Yeah.
And I was at the mercy.
So didn't they used to do that?
The tattooing.
The
now
tattooing
that
on the
was
hands and
basically
stuff.
what happened was, it was done in Auschwitz because a lot of Nazi factories were set up around Auschwitz because they had unlimited number of slave labor. So they used to tattoo. This was in like mid-40s. Started then, but by the time the Hungarian Jews, who were the last ones to be sent to be killed, they didn't want to bother with the time to tattoo you because you were not going to work there.
Yeah.
They were going to either kill you or send you to slave labor somewhere else.
Yeah. Wow. Well, We Got the Water was written by your daughter. Now, if somebody wanted to get a copy of the book, how would they do that?
They can get it at Amazon or at Kindle, or if they take my class in the villages, which is not too far from Leesburg.
Yeah, but not everybody. See, we are lucky that we have expanded. We're all over Central Florida, you know, because we are on several different medias.
Right.
And mediums, rather. And so not everybody's going to be anywhere near the villages.
Right, right.
So do you have you go to Kindle or whatever, and if somebody wants to get a hold of you, did anybody set up a website or?
I actually take books and my DVDs everywhere where I go to speak. Okay. Because in case people are interested, they can come.
So let me ask you something.
Sure.
If somebody in Orlando says, "Oh, we have a nice big synagogue down there, we'd like you to come," how do they contact you? That's basically what I'm looking at.
Get on the internet to We Got the Water, all one word, the title of my daughter's book, and you'll have all the information there.
Okay, that's what we needed to get out.
And also, it's very important that people, if they, I don't really want to give out my phone number.
No, I'm not asking you to, but
they can really get all the information there, the contact information and so on.
Okay, once again, it's We Got the Water, and I want to thank you for coming on the show. And I tell you, this has been great. I've been looking forward to this because you are living history, and I love history.
Yeah.
And you are living history, and you're going to touch a lot of people's lives, and you're going to make a lot of difference. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are going to understand more about the Holocaust thanks to you and man's inhumanity to man, and so that we learn from our mistakes. And I want to thank you. It's been an honor to meet you, sir.
Thank you so much. Can I just tell you one more thing, because this is important, it might be interesting for people in the whole Central Florida. The Lifelong Learning College has a speaker series, and I have been on it a couple times in their rec centers. And I asked them if they would like my daughter to fly in from Australia so we can do a presentation together. And they went bunkers about it. So April the 10th at 6 o'clock in Colony Plaza Rec Center, the two of us will be there, and the title of our speak is Speaking About the Holocaust. And everybody's invited.
Okay. Well,
thank you so much.
And we have to go, because I think we're out of time. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to look over here.
Okay.
And I'm going to say goodbye. And you know, you being an Army veteran, and I'd like you to join me as we say goodbye.
Okay.
Okay? So to all our veterans out there, active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time.